Has he ever done this before? Has he ever
no,
quit the band before?
No, but it's, you can understand that, like, in the world of rock and roll, there are certain changes that sometimes occur, and you've just got to sort of roll with them, I mean, you read that, you saw exactly how many people have been in this band over the years. 37 people have been in this band over the years.
So what happens to the band now?
What do you mean?
He's not coming back, or?
No, we shan't work together again.
Shake it up. Shake it up. Shake it up. Shake it up.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. Yes, it's another episode of the online, on-demand, predominantly fastener-related podcast, where we talk with the movers and shakers of the industrial fastener industry each and every episode. So, if that's your keg of screws, you've clicked into the right podcast, and we're so glad you did. Hey everybody, Eric Dudas here, and I'm joined as always by a man whose life was not impacted even slightly when Twitter increased the maximum character limit to 280. He's Brian Musker. Hey, Bri, doing all right?
Yeah. Now I don't need 280 words for what I did on Twitter. I can do it pretty easily within my limits, okay? I know my limits well.
Yes, regular listeners know you're not the frequent tweeter. We'll talk about that in a minute.
I saw Rosie's tweet. It came whizzing through. I could not resist this beautiful picture she stuck there of looking out at the sea, and here I am surrounded by feet of snow. I thought, oh, God. It's fun.
I think you caught a lot of people off guard, Bri.
I think I did.
Moving and shaking out there in the fastener industry, and that's what we hope to do on this episode 125 of the podcast. This time we're publishing on February 15th, 2018. Once again, thanks for listening, everybody.
Incidentally, my shaking would have been shivering with the cold, okay? You could mistake it for shaking with quaking.
Yeah, well, that was the big topic, and we'll come back to that in a second.
Okay.
Let's talk about today's episode, which I'm sure you'll all enjoy, everyone. John Radel of Solution Industries joins us to get things kicked off on the podcast today. We've wanted to get John on the podcast for some time, and we finally convinced him to sit down with us for a segment, and it's one you won't want to miss, everybody, as there are some pretty big changes over there at Solution Industries. You'll hear about it during this conversation. We'll also be speaking with Craig Penland of Eurolink Fastener Supply Service. If you ever deal with hard-to-find metric fasteners, or if you ever work with metric at all, frankly, this is a discussion you'll learn a lot from, and Eurolink is driving hard with a very cool business model too, Bri.
Mm-hmm.
Just ahead of the Fastener News Report, Harry Moser of the Reshoring Initiative joins us. He's got a quick summary of what's going on in the quest to return manufacturing to the U.S.
Right.
Then, Würth Executive Vice President Marc Strandquist joins Fastener Technology International Editor Mike McNulty on the Fastener News Report with strong FDI numbers from the start of 2018. Mike also has a roundup of industry headlines for you as well. Plus, Carmen Vertullo presents part 3 of his series on torque wrench wisdom on the Fastener Training Minute.
Oh, okay. I thought we were finish at part 2. That was pretty good. All right.
No, it's an actual series this time, Bri, and he's not done yet.
We could binge hear it then, okay?
Actually, there are some people that I've talked to who do binge listen to Fully Threaded. They play like 5 or 6 episodes in a row when they're on a long journey of some kind, and you know what? We like all of our listeners. Thanks for listening, everyone. We also like all of our sponsors. Bri, who might they be?
Wow, what a question. Okay. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stellfast and the Lindstrom family of companies, including Titan Fasteners. Stellfast, for service you deserve and people you trust. And the Lindstrom family of companies, Lindstrom, by any measure. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio are Buckeye Fasteners, InSequel Software, the Würth Group of Companies, ND Industries, Mack Brooks Fastener Fair USA, Fastenal, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man and John Radel. So we thank all our sponsors because it sort of takes effort, mainly on Eric's part, to put all this thing together, and we all have to sort of make money over our work and provide service for other people, and this is just one way we can keep the podcast going. So this is we like our sponsors, okay?
Don't let him fool you, folks. Brian's right in the thick of this podcast, and he's absolutely right, though. Our sponsors do make the show possible, and we really do thank them. Next time you have an opportunity, let them know you listen to the podcast and thank them, because they truly do bring you Fully Threaded Radio.
Yes, they do.
Get with us anytime, folks. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com, and as alluded to earlier, we're out there on Twitter occasionally where the handle is Fully Threaded. So getting back to that for just a moment, Bri, before we
okay.
get into the podcast.
I should never have replied. I should have kept my incognito status.
Well, I think it shocked a lot of people to see your moniker out there on Twitter. And, out of all the tweets that we've seen fly by over the course of our experience out there, this was the one that had the most conversation associated with it. And I don't know what it says about the fastener industry that it had to do with the weather, but nevertheless, everybody seemed to have something to say.
Yeah, well, it was just dismal over such a large part of the country. And then to have these people in California putting out these pictures of sunny views of the sea and, oh, God.
Well, it wasn't just California, Bri. Tracy Lumia was
right. You're right. I saw Tracy's too.
Yeah, from Naples, Florida. And we even heard from our friend Javier Gomez down in Puerto Rico.
Actually, Javier's was the one I really tried first to reply to. But, with my great lack of facility with Twitter, I missed the way I could send my photo to him. So that got lost. And then the next one that came was Rosie's, which I managed to get organized to. Okay.
Well, I hope that hearing from Javier is a good sign that things are stabilizing down there. Of course, we were monitoring what was going on down there with him after the big hurricane in the fall.
Yep.
But, a lot of activity out there. Of course, on the other side, the snowbound side, Bob Bear was out there mentioning he didn't have to go to the gym on that day when you had the big blizzard. Of course, you had like 4 or 5 days in a row of it out in Chicago, didn't you?
Oh, it was horrific. Yeah, we did. It was the worst part was it was relentless. I mean, you just get finished shoveling the driveway so you could use it for one thing, have an hour's rest and bugger me if you had to go out and do it again. Excuse my French. I'll have to edit that out. It was, went on day after day or every 2 days. I was like, oh, God.
Welcome to winter in the Midwest, especially in these times of global warming. Well, we make it kind of a policy on the podcast really not to dwell on the weather unless there's something really earth-shattering, and I think this fit the bill for that. But let's move on to more fastener-related material, Bri.
Yeah.
And we will do that and be back to put a wrench to this one in mere moments, folks. Is Fully Threaded. Thanks for listening.
2 men, 1 server, a fastener dog, and a stunning lack of more lucrative alternatives. It's Fully Threaded Radio.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
What makes Lindstrom a leading specialty fastener master distributor? For years, you've known Lindstrom as the premier name in metric fasteners, with an expanded product line that now includes the largest assortment of fasteners and components of any master distributor. Today, Lindstrom means much more than metric. At Lindstrom, we're focused on a single goal: to bring our distributors the perfect combination of convenience, flexibility, value, and choice, delivered by the most experienced sales team in the industry. For inch or metric fasteners, standard or special, in any finish, all packed to your requirements, turn to Lindstrom, where we have what you need and deliver it the way you want. To learn more about Lindstrom and our expanded brand of value-added products and services, visit lindstromfastener.com or call a sales representative at 1-800-572-5550. Lindstrom, by any measure.
You will meet over 2,000 fastener professionals from key manufacturing industries when you attend Fastener Fair USA, North America's only show for the entire fastener supply chain, taking place April 11th and 12th, 2018 in Cleveland, Ohio. Fastener Fair USA attracts manufacturers, distributors, suppliers, and end users from North America's fastest growing industries, such as automotive, aerospace, construction, equipment manufacturers, and many more. More than 200 companies from around the world will exhibit at Fastener Fair USA 2018, showcasing the latest in industrial and construction fasteners, assembly and installation systems, manufacturing technology, and much more. Take advantage of the opportunity to grow your business with our high-level education and training taught by industry experts, including the Fastener Training Institute, who will be participating in the inaugural show, offering product and technical training. Connect with customers and peers on the show floor and after hours at our welcome reception on April 11th at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There is truly something for everyone who's part of the fastener supply chain at Fastener Fair USA. To request information on exhibiting or visiting Fastener Fair USA, go to fastenerfair.com/USA or call show management at 866-899-4728. We'll see you at Fastener Fair USA 2018 in the heart of America's manufacturing region, April 11th and 12th at Huntington Convention Center, Cleveland, Ohio.
I don't have time to look for the best price for a socket head cap screw zinc plated with a patch.
Solution Man can. Let me handle all of your secondary processes, and I'll even ship the finished product. One price, one purchase order, one invoice, and one shipment equals one solution. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Solution Man, you're my primary source for secondary processes.
Good one.
Hey, this is Clayton Allen from Buckeye Fasteners in Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Ryan and Eric, back with you, having more fun than a Stellfast barrel of monkeys.
But which color? Okay.
That's a good question, but you know what? It's not the year of the monkey. I guess it's always the year of the monkey in one sense, the Stellfast sense, but it's actually just starting the year of the dog bri in the Chinese zodiac calendar.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you know that because it's not something that I keep, in the forefront of my knowledge, but still.
Well, if you're bringing fasteners into the country, you better be aware of that because starting right about now, it's Chinese New Year. That, of course, is going on all around our Asian trading partner countries. And, of course, that blip is felt industry-wide. So I guess we have to say Gong Zi Fa Kai, which I don't know, I probably completely messed that up. That's supposedly Happy New Year in Chinese, which I read. I've never heard it pronounced that I can remember.
Oh, is it a Kai or Tsai?
How would you pronounce that? I emailed that to you. How do you pronounce that?
Well, Chinese is not a language I always learned. I grew up in the British Empire, and recognizing China was not one of the things they were known for. Not in the thing we were ever offered. Gung Tsi Fat Sein. Okay, I'm not an expert. I never learnt Chinese. This is Mandarin, I think, isn't it?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm sure you've done well enough that people will understand what it is, okay?
Well, Happy New Year to all of our Asian friends anyway. We have a lot of listeners in various countries out there, and sorry if I screwed that up too badly. I had the chance to get this right because Charles Chang from Taiwan was on the conference call last night over at Jackie's, and I could have asked him. I didn't think of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he would know. So the Chinese New Year will impact fastener production in China, and hence it's got some ripple effect into the US.
Well, the other cool thing about it, Bri, is our affinity for fastener dogs. So for us, it's going to be the year of the fastener dog. What do you think?
Well, I started off the year of fastener. I had to shut Jack out of my recording room because Jack, as he's got a little older, he snores louder when he's sleeping. You can hear it. You can hear it right through the recording system. So I had to move him out. These are the practical problems we face. Okay.
A lot goes into producing fully threaded radio, folks.
Yeah, moving dogs around and getting notes ready and all sorts of things.
We mentioned last time, Bri, that you're heading down to Costa Rica for the NFDA meeting next month. Well, I'm going to Scottsdale, Arizona to partake of the Pac West Spring Conference in April, and that's happening April 18th through the 21st.
Oh, okay, so that's a month later, yeah.
So it might not be Costa Rica, Bri, but everybody knows that Pac West is the grooviest of all the fastener associations, so that's pretty cool.
Wow, that's pretty good, grooviest, okay.
Get out to pac-west.org for details on that. Hope to see you out there, folks, if you're part of that organization. And even if you're not and you want to get acquainted with fastener distributors on the West Coast, it's a fantastic organization to be aware of. Also
look up the NFDA 50-year anniversary meeting in Costa Rica, which is going to be really interesting. I see the sign-ups there's quite a lot of people who signed up for that. I mean, there's going to be an interesting group of people there. You can see the attendee list online at their website, and yeah, that thing keeps growing. And I tell you, there's a lot of heavy hitters heading out to that event. So I think you're going to have a great time. Yeah, I'm not one of the heavy hitters. I'm just going there to observe, okay? And Lynn's taking a recorder. I mean, her memo recorder. I'm not expecting Lynn to be sitting on a balcony playing music. That'd be too much for the FDA, I think. That's more of a Pac West thing. I think so, yeah. If she did that. Right. You know, one last thing about Costa Rica. It was kind of interesting. Right after we published the last episode where we were discussing that, I noticed that like a day after we published, we had some listeners from down there. Don't ask me how they got wind of it. Oh. That's interesting. Okay. Huh. I guess they must have things that just pick up mentions of how they do that. I don't know. Okay. Fully Threaded gets around. Yeah. In other fastener industry events coming up, folks, don't miss the Southwestern Fastener Association 2018 Spring Conference and Expo. That's happening in May, the 2nd and the 4th of May, and it's happening this time in Dallas, Texas. Now that's a conference and tabletop. Says on their flyer here, Bri, join us for education, business, golf, and fellowship. And wow. By fellowship, I'm pretty sure they mean karaoke. Okay. Southwestern. I usually stick well away from that, as you know. Southwestern Fastener Association, known for their love of karaoke. Once again, that's May 2nd to the 4th in Dallas. The website for all the information on that one is sfa-fastener.org. And of course, Fastener Tech doesn't happen this summer, Bri. That's right. Every other summer. But the Midwest Fastener Association puts on one heck of a tabletop in off years, and that's coming our way this time, June 4th and 5th in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. I think it's probably the biggest of all the tabletops. It's very well worth attending. The next day they have their golf outing,
And although the MWFA might not be the grooviest, it's full of a bunch of people who are really very good fastener people and not just nice people to hang out with. So I'd strongly recommend it. The website to check that out for more details is mwfa.net.
Yeah, also, if you're in the Midwest, I'll just remind you that there's a dinner meeting coming up with MWFA where they have got someone from the FBI to talk about how you can try and, prevent your company website from being hacked, which I'm going to, and I'll be listening very, very carefully. Anyone who does run a website that has a bit of traffic is under constant threat from this, as we are. And so this will be interesting.
Yeah, it's a great topic. At the NCFA, we had a gentleman a couple months ago at one of our dinner meetings on that, and I know other associations are doing it as well, so very well worthwhile. Once again, the website for that, for the dinner meeting or the tabletop, is mwfa.net.
Yep.
John Radel of Solution Industries is coming up next, and later in the podcast, we'll be speaking with Craig Penland of Eurolink. He, of course, deals in hard-to-locate metric fasteners, Bry. And speaking of hard to locate, if you're ever looking for a hard-to-find fastener, you know where to go, everybody. It's the FCH Sourcing Network. That's our main gig. The website there is www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. There's over 1.5 million line items that you can search from. And if you don't find what you need, there's an RFQ system out there that we call Source Finder. Works for a lot of people. We'd be glad to have you out there using it.
And it's also a pretty good measure of either industry sentiment or current sentiment and activity. I see that the activity on FCH, we measure so much different activity in so many different ways, either searches or drill downs or emails, all sorts of things. But I see that the activity that we see at the moment is sort of pretty much in keeping with the positive view of the industry. I mean, there seems to be quite a bit of activity overall.
The mighty FCH sourcing network is cranking along, but I will say this, Bri, although I agree with what you just said, we've also been pouring a lot of resources into the network, into SEO and some other things, and so we're kind of measuring a moving target. Fortunately, the target for us keeps rising, and the industry's cranking along. That's not hurting anybody, but when the industry does well, FCH does well, and when we put our foot to the gas, well, you get what we got now.
Yeah, right. This is true. You have to avoid complacency, because that just means on the web that Google sort of thinks you're not doing anything, and it starts degrading the priority of your pages. And it's anyone who's got a website has the same problem. You've got to work out how do you make sure that Google knows that you're still around, alive and kicking. Okay, and you've got to keep at it.
Actually, working with this SEO that we have been for the last many months now, I was surprised to see exactly how much traffic is directed from Bing. You tend to think exclusively of Google, but Bing is actually a player.
I have always maintained, kept the Bing lists to our sitemaps up to date. I mean, people have always said, don't worry about them, just worry about Google. I've always treated Bing equally to Google. Now, we know the traffic that comes is not the same, okay? But it's enough of a percentage to be worth the effort.
Yeah. I'm not saying that they're anywhere near equals, but if you neglect it, I think you're making a big mistake. There's a tip out there for all you webmasters who might be in the audience working on behalf of your fastener company.
Right.
So we'll conclude that little commercial break, folks, once again by saying the FCH Sourcing Network, get out there. And if you're looking for a place to market your inventory to the industry and beyond, get with us for that too. We'll make your phone ring. fastenersclearinghouse.com.
Yep, with an S.
And the S is for mover and shaker. That didn't really work.
Good one. I thought it was quite good. Okay.
Speaking of movers and shakers, why don't we play that interview with John Radel right now, Bri?
Yeah.
If you've listened to the Fully Threaded Radio podcast for any amount of time, you know very well the name of one of our longtime friends and sponsors. That would be Solution Industries. We've had various members of Team Solution on the podcast many times over the years, but we were never able to convince one of the microphone-shy founders of the company onto the podcast until today. So flying in from Middleburg Heights, Ohio, which is just outside of Cleveland, I'm very glad we were finally able to convince John Radel to join us. Hey, John, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. It's good to have you. Been a long time coming.
Yes, it has.
So we were saying offline you're really a guy who you don't mince words, and there was a little concern there that maybe we'd step off the dock into the lake if we got you on, but I don't think you have to worry.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not your, like I said before, politically correct type of a guy. I say what comes to my mind, and some people are offended by it. Others are not.
Well, it certainly doesn't seem to have hurt your fastener sales. I mean, Solution Industries has really grown over the years. It seems like every time I stop out to visit you guys, there's more warehouse space.
We just took over another unit also, by the way.
Wow. Have to get back out there one of these days. You know, before we get too deep into this, we used to have a lot of fun with it on the podcast where we were talking about fastener tattoos.
You got to bring this up, don't you?
Well, at some point, you know, I figured it'd be a perfect icebreaker, John, but you are one of the few guys that I know that actually has one, and I think it was actually out there on Twitter when you first got it, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah. The traveling salesman had talked me into putting it on that. So, and if you don't know
putting it on your body or putting it on Twitter?
No, putting it on Twitter.
Okay. So since it's out there on social media, I'll just say it. It's a picture of none other than Solution Man, and it's what, on your left leg?
On my right calf, yes.
What was the thinking behind that, John?
I think it was a midlife crisis. I always wanted a tattoo, but growing up, you know, my parents all know they're ugly, and I wanted something that had a lot of meaning, and yet, you know, if nobody wants a tattoo, they want to get rid of. So you got to make sure it's exactly what you want. And I knew Solution Industries was in my blood and here to stay. So my wife asked me why I didn't put her on there, but for obvious reasons, that can change. Just kidding. I would never change my wife. I love her.
Like you were saying about the faux pas. No. Well, you know, you've got another leg, John.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to redo this one a little bit more. That'll be a surprise, though, for down the road.
That's what they say. Once you get one tattoo, people tend to add on to them or get another one. I mean, it's apparently kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah, and it hurts. Don't let anybody tell you it doesn't hurt. It definitely hurts.
Well, I do enough painful things in my life, and I don't think I'll be getting a tattoo, but I'll be hitting myself over the head in other ways, I'm sure, for many years to come. Well, fortunately, there's some non-painful things happening right now in the fastener industry, and I wonder, are you seeing the kind of strong business out there that we're hearing about on the FDI? And I mean, what's Solution doing right now in these gangbuster months?
Actually, we are. I was looking at the numbers just the other day, and we are looking at, as of January compared to last year, January is 31% up. And that's a heck of an increase. Business is up about 31%. So it is strong. I don't know what a lot of other people are seeing at this point, but we're enjoying some good numbers.
So what you're doing right now is you're expanding your business by doing what? Are you adding product lines? Are you doing more secondary stuff? How are you achieving that?
Well, the secondary is naturally a big part of the business. Everybody has us pigeonholed into more or less zinc-plated sockets, and that's getting to be a small part of what we do now. I don't know if people out there know Jim Jordan. He ran our California branch and an ex-Porteous person, and now he's handling quite a bit of our importing. Not that we're going to compete against all your monster importers, but we got to cut out margin somewhere, and this is how this is affecting our margin by pretty much bringing it in stock and release. Now we have packaging machines. I use that plurally. Didn't want to go there, but it's paid off quite nicely. It's a good route.
Now, you said Jim managed? Why did you put that in the past tense? Has his role shifted recently?
Oh yeah, he believes in the company so much he uprooted from California and has moved here to Ohio, of all places. He's originally a Wisconsin gentleman, spent many years out in California, and now he's here in North Ridgeville, of all places. So he must believe in what we're doing as much as we do.
Well, it's definitely a positive sign. I don't know if uprooted or fled would be a more appropriate term from California, depending on who you ask, John. But
oh, yeah.
Sounds like that's going to be definitely something positive for your customers.
Oh, yeah. We are. Everybody in this building is really excited to have Jim with us.
Yeah, I don't think I've asked you this before. We've hung out quite a bit in the past, but how long you been in the fastener game?
Since 1976. Few years behind me. Started out at a place called Mod Form. I don't know if a lot of people would remember that name. It was out in Macedonia. Got a job there through my mother, of all people, and I just never looked back. Just keeps on going.
Yeah, apparently. And you're bringing all your experience to bear with Solution Industries, and it's definitely a diverse company because as long as I've known about you, you've always offered quite a variety of products and services, and it's always changing and it's always expanding in the right direction.
Yes. I didn't even know what to... no, it is expanding. In this industry, in my opinion, if you're not constantly moving and changing with it, it will devour you. It'll eat you up, spit you out, and you'll just be left behind. And that's why the ever-changing at Solution Industries that's why we change so much.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Now, before we take the conversation too much farther, I guess probably to be completely upfront with the listeners, there was one big change that happened at Solution Industries recently, and we wanted to discuss that a little bit. Kind of a tough subject to approach, but nevertheless, in the rough and tumble world of industrial fasteners, changes happen, and sometimes those changes involve parting ways with longtime partners and friends, and that's kind of what happened in this case, isn't it, John?
Yes, it is. I will still, with my dying breath, tell you Don Shan is probably the best salesman out there. I mean, he is. Hands down, bar none, he is the best. And I can't give him enough credit for that. On the other hand, he wanted to take the company in a different direction that I wanted to go. And I don't know if a lot of listeners know or not, but I was a minority shareholder of the company. And I always played the background. I didn't need the forefront. I didn't need to, be the face of the company. That wasn't me. That's not my makeup. My makeup is to just make it work. I build the solid foundation of everything else that makes it grow. Now, what job title is that? I don't know, but that's what I do.
Head cook and bottle washer, John.
Hey, there you go. That's me.
No, point taken, definitely. Well, when did this change happen?
Yeah, it's been happening little by little over the years, but everything took place as of December 31st is when the final changes were made to go in the different directions. And it was hard. It was a very hard decision to make. Always loved the guy, always will. We had to go in two different directions at this point.
Right. Well, listeners of the podcast know we've had Don Shan on many, many times. He was always a really great guest, very interesting to listen to. And I hope that we have him on again at some point when we find out what his new endeavor is going to be. I'm guessing he's going to be somewhere in the industry, and he'll pop up at some point. We don't exactly know where yet, though, do we?
No. I have no idea what he's doing or where he's going. Communication has been cut off quite a bit, and I can't blame him. I'm sure he's a little sour on everything, and that's okay. I just hope we can get together down the road and talk.
Yeah, I do too, and I'm sure that all your friends do as well. And it's one of these things. He's our friend. He's your friend. You're going through a tough time, and I hate to say it this way, but it's almost like when a couple that you've known them for a long time, and they get divorced, and you don't quite know how to handle it. But I think what we're doing here, John, is we're just trying to be real upfront about it, and obviously, lots and lots of Solution Industries friends and customers listen to the podcast, and we wanted to get ahead of this a little bit, give you an opportunity to say some of the things that you did, and I give you a lot of credit for doing that, and hopefully Don will hear this too, and we'll be talking to him in the near future.
Yes, I hope so. For as far as how we're handling things here, everything's the same, except I would say we have more eyes on orders and better response time to any kind of inquiries, expedites. That's something we've added people to, just to take care of it and make sure everybody's handled properly. So there is no lag in business. There's no lag in deliveries or anything else for that matter. I mean, everybody's all over everything, so it's a good thing. My people I got all the faith in the world in them. And that's one of the things that kind of Don's business idea and mine were a little bit different in the sense of I hire people to put in place to do a job, and that's what I expect. Now, his is different than mine. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well, it's understandable. And again, this is something that is not unheard of in business, and especially in the fastener industry. And lots of our listeners are small business owners, medium-sized business owners. And I think if they're listening right now, they can identify with what you're saying, John. Maybe there's even a few guys out there who you're going to inspire, because to grow their business, they need to make the kind of changes you did. Who knows what might happen, but I think everybody understands.
It's not easy. Like I said, it was a very heart-wrenching decision and something to do. I mean, it was painful.
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice, because you guys were, as well as business partners, you're friends. I mean, you spend so much time with somebody like that, it can't be easy.
Yeah.
Well, a few minutes back, you mentioned that there were other big changes at Solution coming down the pike, and I'm dying to know what some of those might be.
Some of it I can't tell you just yet, Eric. We got a 3-year lease, and to me, it doesn't matter how much warehouse you have, or inventory does matter, but as far as warehouse goes, it never occurred to me that people want to know how much space you have. Well, that shouldn't dictate what's going on as long as your orders are getting taken care of in a timely fashion. We're about 2.5 years out of, I want to get something about 100 to 125,000 square foot building. And with the higher ceilings, I mean, that's just one of the investments that we're making here to warehouse everybody's for your stock and release for whatever they need. That's a big thing to me. I just want to make sure I have what everybody needs or what the customer needs, and we don't run out. That's the big key to all this.
Okay, no, I hear you loud and clear. Well, we're happy to have the cliffhanger here, John. I guess we're setting ourselves up for a sequel to this conversation, which is good. Of course, all your other team members are always invited on the podcast as well, but we're going to get you back as well, especially when some of these things come to fruition. As we mentioned, you're right outside of Cleveland. This is a hotbed of fastener activity coming down the road in just a couple of weeks. We've got, a couple months, let's say it that way. We've got the big Fastener Fair USA happening. You going to be attending that, or, I mean, what do you make of this new show?
I'm not quite sure what to make of it just yet. We do sell to distributor-only businesses, and everybody claims they do the same thing. Then why are they having a booth there? So cautiously, I got to think, why are they doing this? You know, should we be there just because they're there? Or so we haven't fully pulled the trigger on it just yet. We may be walking around it. Who knows? We're keep going back and forth, and it's still in the plans, and we're still talking about it, and everybody brings something new to the table that throws a monkey wrench in everything else, and we'll figure it out. Just going to take a little bit of time on how much sense it makes to go to this thing.
Well, if nothing else, I'm sure Solution Man will be circling overhead, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I would guess I'm going to see at least a couple of you guys walking the show floor, whether or not you're exhibiting or not. I think that's your main question, right?
Yeah. I'm just not sure what to do as far as that goes. And we might surprise you. Might be there, but if you're an end user, don't expect me to sell to you.
Okay, fair enough. No, we've heard that from a lot of people. Last episode, of course, we had Jessica Boweek on. She's the exhibit manager, and she kind of addressed the question. I mean, it's a fair one to ask. The model is completely different than our industry has been used to in this country, and so it's a fair question to ask. We will all see what happens. We're rooting for a successful show if it means it's a benefit to the industry. And again, we'll be there to watch what happens and to support it if it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
I guess the biggest question after that, though, is there going to be Old Rusty Bold?
Oh, we have to sit down and have one of those.
Yeah, a minimum one, right.
I hope there is.
We haven't talked to our sources on that yet, but I'm sure Traveling Salesman will be there.
He's everywhere. He's like Solution Man.
It's good that you can depend on some things in this world, in this fastener world. And John, I tell you, we're gonna leave it right there. We had a very necessary, I think, and very welcome conversation. I'm so glad that you came on to share this news with the industry through Fully Threaded Radio, and we appreciate so much your partnership over the years. I know our listeners will get a lot out of this conversation, so thank you for doing it.
Oh, you're welcome. And with that, I guess I either see you at the show or you got to meet on the pond somewhere.
You know it, John.
Got to get them lines wet. Come on.
A few more weeks and we'll be back out there on the pond. That's a topic for another one, too. Yeah, we've caught a few nice fish together, haven't we?
Yeah, it was truly a lot of fun. Just the company, the fishing was great, but the company was also, I just can't even put words to it. Just great fishing. So, and great people. And that's what you want out of life. That's how you want to deal with things. You know, you want to have good people around you. You want to have people you enjoy around you. And I'm too old not to.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, appreciate it very much, John. And thanks again for coming on the podcast. We'll get with you soon. Hey, folks, it's John Radel, Solution Industries. We'll be right back with more Fully Threaded Radio.
Online Fastener Talk Radio. Hey, at least it kills time on long road trips. Fully Threaded Radio.
I need 5,000 3/4 10 by 9 and 3/4 grade 8 zinc yellow tap bolts right away, but they're not a standard size.
Solution Man Ken. I carry a wide variety of sizes and I can quickly cut them to any length. See Solution Industries' website for details at solutionind.com.
Using your bare hands?
I do use a saw on smaller parts, actually.
Are you tired of empty promises from software vendors? Are you paying for support that you're not receiving? Is it time for another paid upgrade? There is a solution. InSequel delivers quality software designed for the fastener industry at an affordable price with industry-leading support. Unlike other software companies, with InSequel, you purchase your software once. There will never be a paid upgrade. If you need assistance with anything, InSequel is there to help. When you call, you will always speak with a real person offering you quick and knowledgeable answers to your questions. Can your current provider say this? Quality software, affordable pricing, industry-leading support. Only InSequel can deliver all three. So why settle? Call InSequel Software at 877-446-9775 or visit www.inxsql.com.
Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been servicing the fastener community since 1905. An employee-owned company for 33 years, we take great pride in the quality of products we sell, offering outstanding customer service from our very knowledgeable sales team members. Our standard product lines include braided weld screws, resistance weld fasteners, leg levelers, tube inserts, clevis pins, and various other fasteners. We have complete custom manufacturing capabilities in low carbon, medium carbon, and stainless steel materials, and our quality systems are registered to ISO standards. We also have an entire team of sourcing specialists able to locate those hard-to-find items with typically smaller minimums and shorter lead times than that of our competition. We offer same-day shipments from one of our warehouses, strategically located throughout the United States and Canada, enabling us to fulfill all your fastener needs in a very timely manner. To find out more about Buckeye Fasteners, please call us at 800-437-1689 or visit us on the web at buckeyefasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, product support from development to implementation.
This is Kevin Chavis with Star Stainless Screw, and you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian Musker, Eric Dudas, back with you. Well, Fully Threaded listeners who heard episode 124 of the podcast know we closed that episode out with some comments from Harry Moser, he of the Reshoring Initiative. Their website, reshorenow.org, is known to many of you. Harry offered his thoughts on a story that was pointing out the record trade deficit with China from last year, Bri.
Yeah, I remember.
Yep, as we know, he's got an eagle eye on the state of domestic manufacturing. So we're glad he could join us again now for a quick segment on the topic of the current state of reshoring. Harry Moser, thanks for joining us.
Eric and Brian, great to be here.
Good, thanks. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, it's been too long. Well, as stated, you're really the pro on reshoring manufacturing back to the U.S. You've been at it for a long time. What can you tell us? What's the current state of your mission?
We used to say our mission was to bring back manufacturing jobs, rather unspecified, and now we say it's to bring back millions of manufacturing jobs. And it's happening. In total, there are about 5 million manufacturing jobs offshored, so lost due to offshoring, not just to automation, not to automation, not to anything else, just to offshoring. And our mission now is to bring back, many or most of those 4 to 5 million jobs. And it's definitely happening. The rate of reshoring and the combined trend of FDI, foreign direct investment, has surged dramatically in 2017 and appears to be continuing on in 2018.
Oh, that's sort of fairly positive, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah. Okay.
That is good news, and it's a giant topic. Again, it's one of these things we're going to have to zero in. So I guess we could say that U.S. manufacturing has expanded dramatically over the last year, and the overall trend of reshoring manufacturing to the U.S. is continuing. But, as we saw during the last episode, recent reports of a trade imbalance with China have been announced, and you commented on that. How should we be thinking about all this?
Let me take each of those concepts that you presented in turn. First, U.S. manufacturing has expanded dramatically. The ISM index, which is probably the most tracked, maybe most relevant data on it, has averaged about 57 in 2017 and was 59.1 in January 2018, and both are about as high as we have seen in the last 30 years. So U.S. manufacturing is doing very well. Anything above 50 is expansion, and this is well above 50. The second thing you mentioned was reshoring continues. We say it does not continue, it's surging. So 2017 was up over 200% from an already high 2016. So it actually got to approximately 240,000 manufacturing job announcements of reshoring and FDI just in the year of 2017. So a huge increase, like more than three times what was true in 2016. We attribute that realistically to the Trump election and the anticipation of reductions in corporate tax rates and regulations, probably a little bit to the dollar coming down, but it didn't come down so much till later in the year. But realistically, it was mainly companies believing that the U.S. is now the right place to manufacture again. So we're really excited by that. The trade imbalance with China for 2017, it was around $342 billion, up about 17%. And how can that happen if all this reshoring is going on? Well, a couple of reasons. First, the trade imbalance is driven by flows of currency into the U.S. As more people bring cash over to sit here, by the balances of the economic equations, that forces up the trade deficit. Not good for manufacturing, good for banks. The U.S. economy was the world's strongest in 2017, attracting imports and cutting exports. And the dollar has come down somewhat, which forces up the price of the things coming in expressed in dollars. That raises the apparent trade deficit. Chinese wages and prices are up, so again, the product coming in is more expensive. And at the end of the year, appliances and solar panels flooded in due to the expectation of huge tariff increases. And so they stuffed the channel with products and got them in here before those tariffs went into effect.
So you're really saying that the deficit is certainly larger, but it's not necessarily larger in terms of the actual volume of goods that came in. It's larger
partially volume of goods, like the appliances, the solar panel, partially more goods because the U.S. economy is so strong that people wanted to buy more widgets and more Barbie dolls, and more whatever, but also partially just that the unit prices went up somewhat expressed in dollars because the dollar value was down.
Okay.
But so I try not to be defensive about it, but to look at those considerations. I have not read about that many cases of big factory closings. 20 years ago, I used to read all the time about factories shutting down and moving their work offshore, and there wasn't a lot of that in 2017. So I'm confident that it isn't the movement of assembly and production offshore as it is just that the U.S. consumer went wild and bought a lot of stuff.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Obviously, we're not speaking directly about the fastener industry here. However, you can't miss the connection, everybody. Let me ask you this, Harry Moser. If these trends continue, do you see a lot more room for the trend to expand in 2018, or will it level off, or what are you seeing down the road?
I think the overall trend clearly will continue unless somebody reverses the actions, like on the tax rates and the regulations. All the increases in 17 happened in anticipation of those changes, and now that we actually have them, you see all kinds of companies coming out and announcing new factories and plans to move things here. So if anything, I think 2018 will be substantially better. But like you said, there is pressure on the fastener industry, and I guess the answer is there will always be import pressure. There's always going to be someone who can make it cheaper, or maybe not as well, but cheaper. But to put it in perspective, we have data on Chinese product versus U.S. product, and on the average, the price of the Chinese product ex works is about 72% of the U.S. product. Now, this isn't fasteners. This is everything. It could be fasteners, but it could be steel. It could be appliances. It could be apparel. But 72%, fairly tightly clustered around that. But when you look at the total cost of ownership, which is adding in the duty and the freight and the carrying cost of inventory and the quality difference and all these other considerations, then the mode of that distribution is more like 92%. So it's getting much closer to the U.S. TCO level. And generally speaking, that shift is getting closer to our level because the Chinese wages, Chinese costs have been going up so rapidly over the years. So one thing that we've done now is to develop a program to help companies or industries bring this information to the importers and convince the importers to look at all the costs and in some cases, not all, but in some cases, we'd say maybe 25-30% of the cases decide to shift the production over to the U.S. So we have under what we call the import substitution program, we can provide data on the major importers, the people who are bringing in the most product, for example, in the field of fasteners, who the major importers are, who the major suppliers are, some product details on each shipment. So we, just for this program, we analyzed the fastener imports, and we found about 44,000 metric tons of fasteners coming in on almost 11,000 shipments with a value of about $404 million, all of that in 2017. And so if some of your listeners would like to get to those companies that are doing the importing, we can identify the companies, we can give some idea of what they're bringing in, how much they're bringing in, some idea of what they're paying for it, and we can train the people that produce the fasteners here in the U.S. and sell them we can train them how to use our total cost of ownership estimator to show the importer that in many cases the importer will actually be more profitable if they shift their supply chain over to the U.S. instead of from offshore.
Now, we've talked about your total cost of ownership estimator tool on the podcast before. That's available at your website, reshorenow.org, Harry. This import program sounds like it's a step beyond what we discussed last time.
Exactly. The other one said, here's a tool for companies to make sourcing decisions or for salesmen to use to convince the customer to buy domestically. But now we can tell them who the best prospects are to go to, what they're bringing in, some idea of what they're paying for it, how much they're bringing in, and so we can help them target the right people to go out and get those orders and replace the imports with domestic production, with their domestic production. In other words, get the business.
Okay, that's the name of it all, yeah.
So anybody who's interested, I'm reachable at harry.moser, M-O-S-E-R, at reshorenow.org. Or if you go to the website, you'll find info at reshorenow.org. Both of them come to me. Love to hear from somebody in the industry or a couple of people in the industry that would like to work with us to implement this program and bring thousands of jobs back to the U.S. fastener industry.
I'd be surprised if you didn't hear from somebody, Harry, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds almost like you're trying to make manufacturing great again.
Well, it's well on its way, but we're going to give it a boost.
And I think one of the boosts would be the difference in the exchange rate of the US dollar in the last couple of months too.
Yeah, that certainly helped. But if you look at it, it peaked about a year ago, and it's down 9% from the peak, but it's still about where it was in, let's say, 2015 or something like that. So it's not that it's low. It's not really competitive yet, but it's just not as uncompetitively high.
Right, yeah. A long way of saying, yeah, you're right.
A long way of saying, I want it down, and I'll bet the administration really wants it down, but they're not willing to say so.
Well, they've said a little bit, which is probably why it's sunk a bit lately, isn't it?
Yeah, but every time they'd say they sort of hint they want it down, then they'd be challenged by the media and oh, I didn't really mean that.
Yeah, right.
I think they should. I think they come out and say, we believe the U.S. dollar. We believe that we'd like to get the dollar to the point where the U.S. economy becomes so competitive that we bring back so much work that then in the future the dollar will rise because we've eliminated the trade deficit. See, so now they could have the best of both worlds, get it down a little bit now, bring the work back, and yet have the dollar be stable over the long term.
Sounds very memo-worthy. Harry Moser, the Reshore Initiative, thank you so much for joining us again. Get out to reshorenow.org where you can see the TCO estimator or get in touch with him.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Harry.
Thank you, guys. Great to be here again.
The Fastener News Report with Mike McNulty is up next, folks. We'll have that for you in mere moments. Got an email here from Tom Moser over at American Fastener Journal. He wanted to remind everybody that the 2018 American Fastener Source Guide is coming out at the end of March. I'm not sure if you still have time to get your information into that, but he suggested that if you're interested in that, you give him an email. That's at tom@fastenerjournal.com.
And it's probably worthwhile trying to get into that, okay?
The Source Guide is something that a lot of companies use. There's a version of the 2017 version out at their website at fastenerjournal.com. Many of you know that Tom Moser is the publisher of American Fastener Journal these days. He's done an excellent job, I think, of really embellishing the magazine, revitalizing it. The January-February issue just hit the newsstands. I've got my copy here. On the cover is one of our esteemed title sponsors, and that's Lindstrom.
Tom Moser's also done an excellent job of trying to lead me astray whenever I've met him at these fastener meetings, okay?
That's what he does.
Yeah. We have had some fun, I have to say.
He's a fun guy to hang with. Lindstrom's got the feature position in this issue of the magazine. There's a story entitled Changing the Game. There's quite a bit of information there. so don't miss it. As I said, Lindstrom is one of the title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio, as is Stelfast. And before we get to the Fastener News Report, I just want to mention something regarding Lindstrom. This is another one of these sticky things. We just heard about the big change over at Solution Industries with John Radel earlier in the podcast. And, well, we'll just put it out there. A lot of you have heard information swirling around out there about Lindstrom, and I spoke with Verge Lindstrom late last week and confirmed that there has been a management change over there. Mike Wren and Dick Ripley have left the company, and Verge has returned as the interim president and CEO. Not a lot of details available at this point, everybody, but I wanted to address it because, let's face it, there's a lot of talk out there, and we'll try to get Verge on or somebody from Lindstrom to clarify a lot of that. Also involved in some of the shifting that happened there, Rob Lucas is no longer with Lindstrom. So again, big changes, not exactly sure what it means, and I don't think anybody can read too much into it other than the fact that Lindstrom's got some big strategies going on right now, and it looks by this article that they're doing some pretty exciting things to address the demands of the market. So I expect Lindstrom will be
in the news again. I mean, it's like these people will all turn up somewhere. We'll see them soon.
I think so. Again, it's one of these things it's tough to talk about, especially if you don't know all the details, but pretending nothing's going on is kind of stupid.
Yep.
The Fastener News Report is brought to us this time by Volt Industrial Plastics and Fastenal. And now, with news about screws you can use, here he is, the hyper-focused Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Eric and Brian. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored today by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. American football is over. The Cleveland Cavaliers are making some moves to avoid the drain. The NBC Olympic reality show, aka the Samsung Games, are underway. Spring training has started, and the U.S. Congress is in the process of giving itself a $300 billion spending raise. But I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver today's Fastener News Report. In this episode, we're going to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story on Fastener Fair USA and newsmaker headlines from Doncasters, Stanley, Optimus, Würth, Shamrock, Care Lakeside, Rockford Fastener, and more. On the back page, we're going to talk about fastener manufacturing. We will get to all of that and the latest FDI results right after this.
Whether you need a small or large number of fasteners, there is no reason why you should have to sacrifice quality or service for that matter. Volt Industrial Plastics takes great care with each and every order to ensure you receive a quality fastener in a timely and affordable manner. Our state-of-the-art production equipment allows us to produce any quantity you request quickly and efficiently. And with same-day shipping on nearly 1 million in-stock fasteners, we carry an inventory so you don't have to. Visit us online at voltplastics.com to find out more about our quality American-made products. Volt Industrial Plastics, manufacturer of the finest plastic fasteners in the world.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting fastenal.com today.
ND Industries has been solving customers' toughest problems through innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service since 1955. A family-owned business, ND Industries manufactures and applies fastener locking, bonding, sealing, masking, and assembling products. Their pre-application process makes fasteners ready to use at the point of assembly, resulting in reduced labor costs, time savings, and superior quality assurance. As a fully integrated company, ND handles all aspects of operations, from formulating custom chemical compounds and coating fasteners to providing inline inspection, packaging, and delivery services. ND Industries serves the global market with 13 divisions in the continental U.S. and also facilities in Taiwan, China, and Turkey. Learn more about ND Industries at our website at www.ndindustries.com. ND Industries. Innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service. Contact ND today.
You're listening to Mike McNulty's Fastener News Report on Fully Threaded Radio.
The seasonally adjusted FDI for January 2018 was 60.8. Up slightly versus December's 57.6 reading, and starting the new year well into the comforts of expansion territory. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network, the National Fastener Distributors Association, and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insight on these results, we talked to Marc Strandquist, Executive Vice President of the Würth Group and the NFDA's immediate past president. Hi, Marc. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Good day. How's everybody today?
Good. We're getting snowed on in Ohio, but that's what happens in February.
That's very typical. Good to be here. Thank you.
Good. Well, thanks for joining us. And what do you think about the January FDI results?
I think it reflects the optimism that I'm seeing out in the marketplace. I think, as you look at what's occurring, so much of what's going on is whether or not people are enthusiastic about the future and have confidence. And I think there's that going on. I said, regardless of how you feel about what goes on in Washington, D.C., if you get rid of that baggage, and just look at what happened on the tax cut side with corporate taxes, going from 38 to 21. That's huge. I mean, it's absolutely huge. And, it really is a motivator for people to be able to take that, what could be excess profits and then reinvest them into the company and expand, assembly lines, maybe expand products and what they offer. I mean, there's just a lot of positives that occur. And I think that is a big piece of this. So, I think the market corrections that we're seeing in the stock market are so much different than 2008 and 2009, or even going back to 1929. I mean, you look at unemployment is way low, whatever it is, 45-year low. I don't recall that exactly, but, you look at unemployment is low. You look at the 2017 gains for the stock market are still there. Basically all that happened was the correction was wiped out the January gains. And so I don't think that's going to hurt us for the long term. So I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic, and there's a lot of reason to believe in this index. And when it shows that possible uptick, I think it's accurate, and I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I like your comment about forget the baggage in Washington. It reminds me of somebody. Comment I heard, I can't remember who it was, but they said, forget about Washington, it's a sideshow. And, look at the facts. Like you said, tax rates are lower, and that's a big percentage difference of money that can be spent wisely rather than wasted. And then you couple that with deregulation from last year, job growth, and everything. Everything's looking positive. I think I would have to agree with everything you said. The forward-looking indicator too that is it's seasonally adjusted as well as the FDI number that was also high this year. This month it went up to 64.7, the highest point in 4 months. So I mean, I think that's just more of the same. People are expecting it to stay strong. And is that what you're hearing as well?
We are. We're hearing a lot of dialogue with the customers in terms of preparations for this and, making changes within their assembly lines and whatever other process they have that in order to accommodate it. So we're seeing a lot of capacity being eaten up on domestic manufacturing of our supply base, and just as much as we're also seeing capacity being eaten up by our global supply base. So when all that happens, I mean, for the same reasons the stock market made a lot of bouncing around, I mean, there's a little fear of inflation, that it's going to be, that it could get higher. So that's the only thing. The irony of how far we've come, that now we have issues that the economy may be too hot, as opposed to the stagnation we've had for a long time, whatever 12 to 14 years of just kind of very limited growth. But now all of a sudden we might be superheated, and so that's a legitimate concern, but I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, we get the doomsday people, will complain on either side of the issue no matter what. But I think like the stock market going up and down. You mentioned that a couple times, and it was interesting. The headlines were like panic attack, but they were really not taking it out of context. And the percentages, like a 4% drop, then up 2-3% the next day, and up again another 2%. So I think it's a little bit of a overreaction. Hopefully, I'm right.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think the fundamentals that are out there, beg for some sort of massive correction or massive problem. I think, a lot of people, I think there was profit taking, and people, it was time to sell, and when interest rates go up, all of a sudden bonds become a more favorable investment, and they're more secure and less risk, and
right.
Some people will start to pull money out of the stock market and put them back into bonds where they haven't done that for a while. So I think it's all going to be fine.
Rebalancing your portfolio. It's just kind of common sense. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Other numbers on the FDI that were in the positive zone where sales were up, employment was up, pricing were up. The employment one gets my attention a little bit. We're going to hear a little bit more in the report later on, but there's a lot of personnel announcements, and I would say this is like maybe an anecdotal tracking, but it seems to me this last month or two we've had quite a few personnel announcements, more than normal. So that kind of means people are hiring. And are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are building up their structures and adding talent. I mean, that's speaking for our particular group of companies in the United States. We're on a very large increase right now in sales, and we're looking for good people, and you're always looking for talent. You always want to develop from within. So we work hard at taking current employees and putting them through training in a variety of ways, and to prepare them to be the managers of the future. And then you also find time to kind of have a spread of talent where we bring in people as well. And so we've had some good luck over the last 2 years hiring people that can help take us to the next step. As we grow, we're going to need more supervisors and managers and executives, and so it's a constant challenge. And in terms of just any kind of an average situation with an employee, this unemployment thing is caught. I think Minnesota is just over 2% unemployment, maybe 2.5%. It's getting more and more difficult to hire people up there, and we're seeing wages increase, and the pool of people that are willing to move is getting smaller and smaller. So when you do have a chance to hire someone, we're taking that chance and trying to add the talent, like I said, in order to make us a better, more viable company for the future. But you're right. It's a challenge, and it's we're seeing more and more that the personnel moves and the personnel opportunities are out there, and so you got to decide what's going to be a good fit and what's not.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's tough on occasion to find good talent, but I think it's it's another good sign that things are going in the right direction. And if we can get rid of some, if we can reduce some excessive government spending that's not contributing to anything, that would make me happy to make the whole thing complete. Get rid of some department. Yeah. All right. Now let's move on to the comments that we got. The people that put everything together said the comments have dropped off lately, but I've got a couple comments here. And the first one was getting price reduction pressure from large customers. That was the first one. And then the second one says best January ever, and ever was in all caps and with an exclamation point. So the second one kind of confirms what we're saying. And what do you, any insight on price pressure that you guys are seeing?
Well, there's one thing I always tell our salespeople is we have to understand that the customer, the OEM, pays and trains their people to fight price increases, and pays and trains them to combat that and try and get price decreases. And we have to try and train our people to understand that you've got to be ready for that. And too often the salespeople are are so sensitive. They don't like conflict. They don't want to make a big scene. And but the fact is the marketplace is seeing inflation. There's no question. Price increases are out there. In some products, it's double digit. So I mean, in some areas over the last year, there's been more than 10% price increase, and a combination of reasons. But and so those have to get passed on. And there's no question. Some customers have an automatic trigger that no matter what, whether you're asking for 2% or 7% or 3%, there's an automatic trigger in order to try and test the marketplace. And other people will fight you for a while, But in the end, they expect it. Right now, there's so much going on, and I mean, in a way, I think customers expect it. I'm not saying they accept it, but they do expect it.
Right.
And I think too often we just lay there and we're too afraid to confront and to push it, and we need not to be that way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, because prices go up and down. It's this is economics 101, and if you have legitimate reasons, price gouging is one thing, but you don't have that going on in a market economy where there's lots of suppliers and there's lots of competition, and then it's just natural. Sometimes there's good reasons, and I always go by the thing: if you don't value your product, nobody else will. And an old manager of mine once told me to increase the prices until people scream.
Yeah, well, I had a similar story where we called it bloody fingers, meaning it's like putting your fingers against the propeller blade and you just keep on going until you get a little bit, a little blood on there from them smacking you, and then you pull back,
Yeah, right.
So you got to push and
you got to try, yeah,
fingers.
Right.
You got to try, and then but have that relationship with the customer that you can back away if required and not lose the business.
Yeah, and do it for legitimate reasons. So good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, everything's looking good with the FDA. I expect it will continue through at least through the first half of this year, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, move on. We'll close with the NFDA. I know you guys have the 50th anniversary celebration going on, or coming up next month. Anything you can tell us about that?
Well, if you're a member of the NFDA or you'd like to join, this would be a great one to come to. We've got a lot of awesome speakers, and there's going to be a collection of the past presidents. So there's especially for those people that like fastener industry history, we're going to have a lot of people there that I think it'll be enjoyable to catch up and to network amongst themselves. So yeah, I think we have a real high, we're well over 100 people now, and which is a really good attendance, not including spouses. So we got a lot of good things, and I really encourage, if you're a member, it's not too late to sign up to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's a good milestone, and the program looks good, and the location is pretty nice too, especially if you're sitting in a snow belt area like me.
No question. Yeah, it's going to be in Costa Rica, which I hope that the average listener doesn't think, well, that's too expensive. We did a lot of studies, and actually, you can fly into Costa Rica pretty cheap, and when all things are considered. And then if we were to have picked a Miami Beach, Marco Island, Fort Myers area hotel, the rates are just as competitive or cheaper in Costa Rica. So it should be a budgetary benefit to go where it's not as expensive as perhaps other locations domestically. So we did a lot for that, and the weather should be fantastic.
Yeah.
So the weather should be in the 80s. We're in the perfect, it's not the rainy season, so there should be blue skies, and it should be a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere for everybody.
Very good. Well, sounds good, and I hope it all goes well. And I want to thank you for joining us once again to provide insight on FDI as well as the fastener industry in general.
I'd love to do it. Thank you very much.
That was Marc Strandquist. He's the Executive Vice President of the Würth Group and immediate past President of the NFDA. The FDI number for January was 60.8. Visit FDIsurvey.com to participate in the process and get a PDF copy of Baird's monthly analysis. Now for today's top story. The first ever Fastener Fair USA is shaping up nicely with over 200 exhibitors and an impressive slate of education, information, and networking opportunities. Ernest Machine Products is sponsoring the Fastener Fair USA Educational Theater and Networking Lounge, and the complete program lineup includes 2 pre-show workshops, Fastening 101 by Lawrence Klaus and Understanding the Bolted Joint by Carmen Vertullo, as well as sales, marketing, and technical sessions on a wide variety of subjects, including value-added selling, digital trends, the Amazon effect, European perceptions, aerospace cost-cutting, space technology, and technical training. Complete details are available in a new preview article found on pages 46 through 49 of the February-March issue of Fastener Technology International, as well as online at fastenerfair.com/USA. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. In acquisition, expansion, and investment news, Doncaster's Group in the UK has agreed to sell its Nelson Fastener Systems business to Stanley Black & Decker for $440 million in cash. Optimus Solutions has signed a long-term agreement to deliver fasteners for use in electric taxis. Hager Incorporated has been acquired by Penn Engineering and Manufacturing Corp. Sherrick's Fastening Solutions has added Pacific Warehouse Sales as a Western Regional Master Distributor. Bryce Fastener Incorporated has broken ground on a new manufacturing space. Threaded Fasteners Incorporated has acquired Bolt and Nut Incorporated. And MJ Callahan is now representing Wyandotte Industries in 6 New England states. In personnel news, Würth Industry North America has named Mike Buchanan, VP of Finance, and Maciel Mina as Head of Business Development for Latin America. Shamrock International has promoted Dave Paletke to the position of Senior Applications Engineer. Brighton Best International has promoted Frank Garza to Texas Regional Warehouse Manager and Stuart Weiss to Tampa Warehouse Manager. GL Hewitt has appointed Terry May of Pro West Marketing as its authorized business development agent for the USA's Pacific Northwest region. Gunther Beck, the longtime CEO of Beck Fastener Group, has transferred the company reins to his son, Christian Beck. Yardley Products has added T.J. Keeley to its team of sales reps. Southern Carlson has appointed Kenneth Sweeter to chairman and CEO. Kerr Lakeside has promoted Alex Kerr to the position of vice president and general manager. And Brian Berge, president of Rockford Fastener Incorporated, has retired from the company. You can get details on all of these stories and more in Fastener Technology International magazine and the Fastener News Report newsletter, available in print, PDF, and flipbook editions by visiting fastenertech.com. Finally, let's turn to the back page to talk about fastener manufacturing. I am pleased to report that fastener manufacturing is alive and well, not only in the USA, but all over the world, and a great place to see the latest fastener-making developments is at the upcoming Wire Trade Fair in Dusseldorf, Germany. Most fasteners are considered wire products processed via forming and rolling processes, and the 150 to 200 exhibitors of fastener-related machinery, materials, tooling, and accessories on hand at the Wire Trade Fair in Germany is very impressive. We are previewing the fastener-related exhibits of Wire 2018 in the February-March issue of Fastener Technology International on pages 62 through 89. The vast majority of these fastener-related exhibits are placed together in Hall 15 of the Dusseldorf Trade Show Fairgrounds. The show is held every 2 years, and it is easily one of my favorites, not just for the technology, but for the fine German hospitality, the excellent trade show production capabilities of Messe Dusseldorf, and a wide range of locally brewed alt beer. The show dates are April 16th through the 20th, so if you're going to go to the show, send me a note or stop by our exhibit stand in the North American Pavilion in Hall 9. If you want to learn more about Wire 2018, visit wire-tradefair.com. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International, bringing you the Fastener News Report. Please send your news, pictures, comments, or corrections and complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Let's begin, pal. Bringing in fasteners from across the pond. Hear all about it with Craig Penland of Eurolink. He's up next. It's Fully Threaded.
What's the real value of Lindstrom? You probably know us as a leading specialty fastener master distributor. But what really sets us apart is a commitment to providing added value for the distributors we serve. Over the years, we've developed a solid foundation of value-added specialties, including hard-to-find products, expertise in secondary processes, in-house manufacturing, technical services, and unique inventory management programs. As we continue to expand, Lindstrom is focused on a single goal: to bring our distributors the perfect combination of convenience, flexibility, value, and choice, to be the source for everything distributors need. When you need something special, turn to Lindstrom. To learn more about Lindstrom and our expanded brand of value-added products and services, visit lindstromfastener.com or call a sales representative at 1-800-572-5550. Lindstrom, by any measure.
Fastener friends, if you're looking to celebrate a big sale, or if you just want to unwind after a tough day on the job, do it with the golden brown goodness of Old Rusty Bolt beer. It is the finest tasting beer in the Fastener world because Old Rusty Bolt beer is brewed specifically to satisfy the palates of Fastener folks everywhere. That name again, Old Rusty Bolt beer. An Old Rusty Bolt added to every bottle to enhance flavoring. Get some today. The preceding message was brought to you by Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Bolt Company, official Fastener show sponsors of Old Rusty Bolt, the preferred beer of traveling salesmen. Tell them Rusty sent you.
Well, hey, everybody, this is Carmen Vertullo at the Carver Fact Center in San Diego, California, and with the Fastener Training Institute with your Fastener Training Minute. We've been talking about torque wrenches these past couple of episodes, and the past few have been sort of general, some things about torque wrenches from a high-altitude view. Today, we're going to kind of zoom in and look at one particular aspect of torque wrench use, and it identifies and helps prevent one of the main errors that torque wrench users make, and that is applying too much torque on the initial pull, and then when it comes time to do the final torque, they can't overcome the torque that's already on the nut or the bolt head. I'm going to tell you how to prevent that, some ways that you can train people to do it, and we'll do that when we come back in just a minute.
Hi everyone, Eric Dudas for the Fastener Training Institute with upcoming training opportunities you should be aware of. On February 23rd, it's the next in the FTI webinar series, Understanding Fastener Strength and Hardness. Then on February 27th, the one-day class, Non-Threaded Fasteners and Assembly Components, is happening in Norwalk, California. Attendees will have free access to the PacWest dinner meeting after the class, so that's a bonus there. Next, on March 27th, the one-day course, Fastener Basics, is happening in Union City, California. This is perfect for new employees in the fastener industry, so if you have some of those on your team, take a look. Get out to the full schedule of fastener training opportunities offered by the Fastener Training Institute at their website, www.fastenertraining.org. Now it's back to Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute, and we are talking about torque wrench usage today. One of the things that we must take into consideration when we use a torque wrench is there's going to be a certain amount of friction or force or torque that must be overcome to get the nut in motion now, or the bolt head in motion, or the screw head, or whatever it is that we are applying the torque to. Now, if we start with the fully loosened condition, it just starts moving right away. But at some point, chances are we're going to stop before we reach the final torque. It's very important that we don't stop close to the final torque because it will take a certain amount of force to get that nut restarted. I'm going to call that the restart torque. To ensure that we don't get too close to the final torque when we do our restart torque, it's important that we apply maybe only about 50% of the final torque. So if our torque requirement is 100 foot-pounds, we're going to maybe apply 50 foot-pounds on the first go and then make sure that that last 50 pounds is applied with the torque wrench fully in motion. When the wrench clicks or beeps or the needle gets to where it's supposed to be, we want the torque wrench to be in motion. If, for example, like some specifications require that we would torque up to 75%, there's a chance that when we go to apply that final torque, the nut is not even going to move because the final torque won't be enough to get it moving from its already seated position. So we just want to be careful when we use torque wrenches that at the end of the process, the wrench is in motion when that click or that beep or that needle hits its point. And this is part of torque wrench training. That's what we're going to talk about next time. This has been Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute talking about torque wrench usage. Thank you for listening.
This is Baron Yarborough with Spring Bolts and Nut Manufacturing, the best beard in the business. Sorry, Chris. And you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you. Fully Threaded
Radio.
Longtime Fully Threaded listeners know that FCH is our main gig, FCH being the FCH Sourcing Network, where you can always go to find hard-to-find fastener inventory. Now, if you're specifically looking for hard-to-find metric pieces, that's an interesting question. And there's one good place that we know of, certainly, to find that kind of stuff. Right, Bri? Right.
We've known about it for a couple of years, actually, 3 years.
That's right. And that's Eurolink Fastener Supply Service. Eurolink FSS, that is. Craig Penland's the big boss over there. He's with us right now. Hey, Craig, you out there?
Yes, sir. How are you guys?
We're doing good, thanks.
Indeed we are, and we're glad that you were finally able to jump in with us. Eurolink's been a member of FCH for quite some time. We're glad to have you. You've got a really interesting business. We're going to talk a little bit about that during this segment.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Obviously, you have customers all over the country. Why don't you give us a thumbnail for folks who are just for the first time hearing about Eurolink?
Well, Eurolink started in 2000, and we've been slowly growing ever since. We come from a large importer background, so we were buying items mostly from Asia and bringing it over via sea freight and putting it in stock, hoping that it would sell, 4, 5, 6 times a year. And once we started Eurolink, we wanted to try something completely different. We wanted to be able to offer the metric fasteners that were not kept in stock here in the United States. The items that every time a distributor would send off for a quote, they would get back nothing but a no quote or a no stock written beside the item. So we had to go to Europe. We had to find stocking distributors that were interested in our idea, dealing with us on a daily basis. And then we had to find freight forwarders that were interested in dealing with us on a daily basis. And slowly over the last 18 years, we've been able to complete that mission and be able to offer the items to distributors around the country in small box quantities or large quantities, whatever they're wanting, and air freight them in or sea freight them in from European stocking distributors on a weekly and monthly basis.
Now, you're based out of Greer, South Carolina, but you have customers all across the country, as we mentioned a moment ago. What are your typical customers looking like? I mean, who's looking for hard-to-find metric fasteners typically, Craig?
Everyone. Every fastener distributor all over the U.S., Canada, and Mexico is looking for something at some time or another. We probably have upwards to 1,000 customers in our database at this moment, and now we don't get calls from them every single day. Distributors do not need us every single day. They usually come to us when they were not able to find the item in stock with their normal supplier. And that's when we jump in and we take over the reins and we locate the items for them and then come back to them with a quick price and delivery.
Sounds kind of familiar, huh, Bray?
Yeah. So, for people who don't know, you'd find Eurolink's, I think their main listings all on FCH too.
That is correct. That is correct. We've been able to now be with FCH for I think a little over 2 years, going on 3, and it's been very impressive to me how many RFQs that we receive per day.
Question for you: do you think that US manufacturers are using metrics in more commonly than they have in the past. I mean, what do you attribute the increase in activity or requests to you? More people know about you, or more people are trying to use metrics?
I think it's a little of both. I think that there are more manufacturers using metric today. Back in the 70s, we thought that the metric was going to take over the inch world, and almost 50 years later, it still hadn't done that. So, but I do think they're using more and more every day. I think that as more European manufacturers come into the United States, like a BMW that continues to use metric, the need goes up. And also as more and more U.S. manufacturers supply items to the Europeans that, say, for example, GE building their refrigerator, they're putting metric fasteners in there for the European market. So, I do believe that the need has gone up. And I think that, over the years, we have marketed ourselves to fill that need for the hard-to-find items.
Yeah, okay.
I remember it was about 5-6 years ago, maybe, we had Rich Cavoto from Metric and Multi on, and his estimate at that time was that 15-16% of the U.S. market was metric. Do you think that's about where it's at now, or has it grown bigger than that? What's your estimation?
I would probably agree with Rich. As a company that doesn't sell any inch standard items, I don't know what the market's like for that. So I would have to agree with it, Rich. He's a smart man. I would stick with him.
You say you don't sell any inch, but what happens when somebody calls you up and they need an M10 by 3 inches? What do you do then?
I convert that 3 inches to 75 millimeters very quickly.
It's so funny. It's so funny how many of those types of searches we see go through the network. That's why I asked Greg.
I know. This is true. This is weird stuff. Okay, mixed measurements.
That is true. That is true. I mean, we see that quite often, and my guys here at Eurolink, that's what we train for. We train to deal with those types of questions day in and day out. What is this specific DIN standard? What is this specific ISO standard? Can we, calculate the differences between them? Can we provide exactly what the customer is looking for? So, a lot of our business is more customer service than anything. We basically sell a service. We don't really sell items.
Okay, yeah, Fasteners Clearinghouse would say a similar thing.
I agree.
Only the difference is you actually have nuts and bolts sitting around. We don't have anything like that.
We've got a little bit that's accumulated over the years. Not nearly as much as some of our competitors out there, but we do have a little bit. Yes, sir.
Well, you bring in a ton of material on a weekly basis, and we want to discuss that in a moment and how you do that, because it's very interesting. But right before we get to that, you stumbled into a topic area that we always, it seems like, hit, Bri, whenever somebody who specializes in metric comes on, and that's the current state of ISO versus DIN. So you're still handling both, and you probably will be for some time, don't you think?
That is correct. I would say half of our customers call us looking for DIN product, and the other half call us looking for ISO product. And luckily, we're in a position dealing with European stocking distributors that keep both products sitting on the shelf. So, whereas our competition might no quote an ISO item because there's a little bit of difference in the head width, yep, or the nut thickness, usually we can find those ISO products just sitting there on the shelf and bring them in as part of our weekly air freights.
Now, I'll give you a comment and then I'll ask for your answer to it, okay? Okay. We analyze statistics quite a lot, and we have a lot of stats built up now after 12 years. And I've been keeping track of the number of searches that have DIN numbers in them versus ISO numbers versus ASME and stuff like that, okay? And for years, we've had a pretty constant ratio of the ISO searches were really running always at about 10% of the DIN searches, so the DIN were 9 times more. In the last year, I've noticed a difference. It's started changing, and there's now, like, of all the metric searches, about 25% are ISO and 75% are DIN searches now. Have you noticed a change in the percentage of people requesting ISO fasteners versus DIN recently?
We have, but we noticed it about 3 years ago. It became more relevant to us, but we recognized in 2011, 2012 that some of the DIN standards were becoming obsolete, even though you can still get the product off the shelf from German stocking distributors. But the standard itself became obsolete and was replaced with ISO standards. So what we've noticed over the last 3 years is those ISO standards have dwindled down to the manufacturers, and now they're listing those ISO standards on their prints and what they're calling out to the local distributor for. So we've seen increase in calls and requests for ISO standards for a couple of years now.
Your customers, are they always familiar with in some cases, the ISO so-called once equivalent, inverted commas, the head is different on some of the cap screws, isn't different size. Do you have problems with people complaining about these things, they won't fit or something?
Somewhat. Usually they'll call up or send over an email, and they'll say that the item has to be to an ISO standard, and we will help them go through both the old DIN standard and the ISO standard. And if there is a difference in dimensions, then we will help them search for the ISO specific item. If there is no difference in the dimensions from the ISO DIN, then we will offer them the DIN item. But we make sure to go through the two standards with them, and make sure that we're not providing them an item that they can't use.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's ever worked on their cars had the problem of the wrench sizes are different.
Absolutely. There are a few diameters where the wrench size is different for the ISO standard. But yeah, we've seen an increase in both the ISO request, I would say, over the last 2 to 3 years.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure why this is happening, but I mean, I know that the Standards Committee, has never even mentioned DIN standards. They've always said we should be using ISO standards. But the reality is that people were still requesting DIN standards for us. It's just,
as long as the end customer wants a DIN standard, that's what the local distributor will go out and search for.
Yeah.
That's where we step in to try to help them find that item.
Yep.
So it's really up to the customer, and that's what we're driven by.
I guess the bottom line on that topic, much to Joe Greenslade's chagrin, is that both DIN and ISO are going to be around for a long, long time, no end in sight.
I would agree with that. I don't see many of the German stocking distributors getting rid of their DIN product anytime in the near future.
Oh, I don't think the Germans will be getting rid of the DIN standard. I mean, I have to think of it. Deutsche Industry Norm. I mean, it's got the name German right in it. So,
I agree 100%.
We noted that you're bringing in material from Europe frequently, weekly, daily, probably. You've got a ton of freight options. Please expand on that. Tell us where you're bringing this stuff in from, and what are you offering your customers?
Well, we have about 20 European suppliers that we use on a daily basis. Some of them are stocking distributors, some of them are manufacturers. And we have upwards of 10 air freight shipments a week coming in from Europe. We have European suppliers that ship every single day to us. And then we have a few of them that do weekly air freight shipments. And then also we have monthly consolidated sea freight shipments. So the options that we offer is a 2 to 3 business day express shipment out of Europe. We offer a 1 to 2 week consolidated air freight shipment out of Europe. And then we offer the monthly sea freight shipment out of Europe, which basically arrives to us about 3 to 4 weeks after it leaves Europe.
So you've got full coverage.
We try to. We try to meet the customer's needs. I mean, we have a customer call us up looking for 500 pieces, and they've got to have it in 2 days. We put it the very next day on a express shipment out of Europe and try to get it here in 2 to 3 days for them. Then we have the customers that call up and say, hey, we've got 2 or 3 weeks on this. We just add the item to our weekly consolidated shipment and have it here a week later. And then we've got the customers call up and say, hey, you know, we've got about 6 to 10 weeks on this. Can we save some money by going sea freight? And absolutely. So we put it on our monthly consolidated shipment and have it here the very next month.
Now, every business has its challenges. What are some of the challenges of importing from Europe, Craig?
Well, we have a few. First and foremost is the euro to dollar exchange. That is something that we have to deal with each and every day, and that is something that prevents us from allowing our quotes to have a validity of, you know, more than 3 days. The exchange can really drastically change quickly on us. So we normally try to stick with about a 3-day validity. Other issues is just dealing with companies in Europe that don't have an online portal for us to check stock instantly. We have about 4 or 5 companies that we can check stock instantly for the customer here in the U.S., and the rest of them we actually have to send a request over to the supplier, and having a 6-hour time difference, we have to wait till the next business day to get our answers back.
Yeah.
So the euro waiting on our answers to come back if we can't check it online. And then over the last 18 months or so, one of the biggest that we've had is just the ban on barrage manufactured material. That affected our stainless steel sales towards the end of 2016, the beginning of 2017. But I would guess about April, May of 2017, we have been able to locate other sources for stainless steel fasteners out of Europe, other manufacturers, and our stainless steel sales have come back. So we're still able to offer them at the same rate we were always able to offer the carbon steel sales.
So if someone, you know, was trying to work out what was really the specialty of Eurolink, okay? I mean, is it handling really strange sized metric products, strange cap screws and things like that, or is it the materials that you supply or can offer, or your delivery conditions or whatever, or all of those?
A little of all of it. I think since the very beginning, our philosophy has always been that we didn't want to just be another metric fastener importer, that we wanted to be a supply chain problem solver. We wanted to be the company you came to when no one else was willing to quote you on an item. And then we take over sourcing that item, and we come back to you either later that day, the next day, 2 days later, with an offer. It might not have the best price in the world. It might not have the best delivery in the world, but at least we're giving you some sort of option to go back to your customer with, rather than going back to your customer telling them that you can't get that part.
Yeah. Yeah,
so we just always wanted to be that problem solver that the industry really didn't have for the last 30 years. You've got some great stocking distributors in the United States, some really great stocking distributors, but they want to keep in stock those A and B type items that they're turning their inventory 4 to 6 times a year. And honestly, they don't keep everything in stock. And I've just seen too often, by them not having it in stock, you go back to the customer and say, I can't get it, and the customer just becomes frustrated. So we wanted to give distributors a way of still getting those hard-to-find items, get them at a decent price and a decent delivery.
Okay. So in terms of, say, stainless, what would you regard as your specialty stainless that you can deliver that other people have trouble delivering then?
Well, a few years ago, we became the only stocking distributor of A480 stainless steel, 800 megapascal stainless steel, hex heads, socket heads, nuts. And a few years ago, we recognized that there needed to be somebody to keep A480 stainless steel in stock. our competitors here in the United States normally kept A470 on the shelf, but we were seeing more and more calls each and every day for A480. So we put a full line of A480 in stock that we have maintained over the last few years. And most recently, we became the only stocking distributor in the entire world to put a full line of stainless steel fine thread hex head cap screws in stock. So the days of having to get a longer screw, cut the coarse threads off of it, and then rethread it with a fine thread, and the prices being up there to $5, $6, $7 a piece for the screw, and taking a week to manufacture, those days are gone. We actually have those sitting here on the shelf and ready to ship out same day.
Wow. Okay. I knew there was an interesting answer to my question. You see, it had to be.
How do you do it, Bri?
I know. So then. What is the difference? I mean, for me, it's not a leading question. I have no idea. What's the real difference between A470 that other people have an A480? What different applications is A480 used for?
The 80 has a 800 megapascal tensile strength. So it's usually used in an application that needs a little bit stronger of a bolt. The Germans, the Europeans, like the A480 more than they do the A470. If you go to European stocking distributors, they usually keep a lot more A480 sitting on the shelf. So as German manufacturers have come into the United States, they're bringing that requirement into the United States, and they're calling out A480 also on their prints.
Right. People like Mercedes-Benz and BMW building things.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
You see it a lot in the marine industry, too, especially the ship manufacturers. You see a lot of them requesting A480 a lot more than A470 nowadays.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's another kind of neophyte question. Why isn't more of this stuff manufactured in the U.S., Craig?
I think that most U.S. manufacturers are set on manufacturing inch standard items, and then they will do some metric items, but the items that they do manufacture, they set their lines up to manufacture, are usually the more common sizes, the more common threads, the more common material, and there's just not enough money to be made to set up a line. Say, for example, a DIN 933 hex head cap screw. You can find manufacturers here in the United States to offer those in 8.8 and 10.9 grades.
Yep.
But no one really offers 12.9.
Yeah.
And that's where we come into play, that there is European stocking distributors that keep a full line of 12.9 hex heads sitting right on the shelf available for immediate sale. I just don't think there's enough call for it for manufacturers here in the U.S. to set up lines to produce those items.
The old profit motive strikes again.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in Eric's and my, and part of this podcast too, the dealing with reshoring. I mean, you'd like to think that at some stage, if there's a demand in the US for metric products, that someone in the US would be trying to produce some metric products. Okay.
You would think at some point, yes, but it's costly to set up those lines to produce those items. And when you're getting, 1 to 2 calls a week looking for 25 to 50 pieces or so, I just don't see the manufacturers spending that much time setting up a line just to produce that amount of metric fasteners.
And that's where Eurolink Fastener Supply Service comes in. You can learn a lot more about Eurolink FSS at their website, which is eurolinkfss.com.
That is correct.
Craig Penland is joining us, and we're having a conversation all about that subject right now. Craig, we were talking before we turned on the recorders, and you're going to hit the road pretty soon with your crew. You're doing a whole bunch of shows, the big ones and the small ones and everything in between this year, aren't you?
That is correct. We're excited. We have not displayed at one of the larger shows since 2012, and this year we're going to display at both Cleveland and Vegas this year. So we're excited about those, but we're not getting away from what has gotten us to this point, and that's some of the smaller association shows. We're still doing the Southwest show in Dallas this year. We're doing the Midwest show in Chicago this year, and going to try to make sure that we can do the Northeast show up in New Jersey this year too.
Wow! So when are you going to have time to sit in the office then?
No rest for the wicked, my friend. No rest for the wicked.
Right.
Now, tell me that you're going to have some of those wicked concert Eurolink T-shirts at your booth, because I got to tell you, Craig, there's a lot of T-shirts. Solution Industries does a great job with theirs. There's one or two other companies, but man, you guys definitely take the cake when it comes to cool fastener industry T-shirts.
That was a project we did a couple of years ago when we went to a new advertising campaign, the Rockstar campaign. We had a couple ads in Link magazine, and they did a fantastic job for us, and had a new display for our local tabletop shows done for us, and some new line cards. And I just thought, when we went to that Rockstar campaign, I just thought, it takes me back to the 80s and the heavy metal rock concerts and the hair bands, and I want to put together a black concert shirt. And so we did it, and at about 3 or 4 different shows, we gave out those shirts for free. We had a lot of customers around the country that really liked them, a lot of calls for them in the weeks afterwards, asking for even more. And I think we've got a few still around the office. I know that my guys here wear those shirts all the time. I've got a lot of friends around this area that wear those shirts all the time. But I'm not sure what our next giveaway is going to be at this moment. I'm sure that we'll do shirts again in the future, but I'm not sure what the next one's going to be.
So heavy metal's out just for the moment then.
Yeah, no, not necessarily. I mean, we're still running with our Rockstar ad campaign, so not necessarily. We're just looking for maybe a different avenue to go down as far as our giveaways.
Okay, that's cool.
But you can still get a shirt. I mean, we still have a few of them around here if anybody ever calls and says they want a shirt.
I noticed you guys have been tweeting a lot, or I don't know if it's you or somebody on your team, but they're doing a good job out there on Twitter for Eurolink. And I would suggest that you at least take a shot of this shirt and put it out there so listeners can check that out on your Twitter site. And I didn't even think of this until just now, but at the Cleveland show, that's Fastener Fair USA coming up in April, a lot of fully threaded listeners will be out there. Nice tie-in, because the welcome reception is going to be at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That'd be perfect, Craig.
I agree. That's all I can say. That would be pretty cool. I mean, I have to give credit where credit's due, and that would be pretty cool to see a lot of people walking around with our concert T-shirts on. So maybe we can get enough of them together to give those away up in Cleveland too.
Well, either way, we're going to see you out there, and we look forward to it. And several of the other events that you mentioned will be attending as well. So we're going to run into you quite frequently in the near future, Craig.
I hope so. This is 2017 was a wonderful year. We were extremely blessed with our sales. January has started off amazing for us. So I'm looking forward to this year. I'm looking forward for it to be a great year for us.
Yeah, I think a lot of us hope for that, actually. But the indications seem okay.
Well, we just heard from Mike McNulty and Marc Strandquist. They were talking about the January FDI numbers. We hit 60.8 last month, and optimism seems real high as well. So hopefully we're onto something, gentlemen.
I agree. Our January was actually our best one on record, and I'm excited of what this year is going to bring for our company. I mean, I think I've got a great staff here. We've got some amazing customers all over North America, and I am really excited to see what 2018 will bring to us.
And looking down your list of outside reps that's on your website, which once again is eurolinkfss.com, you've got really good coverage and a lot of names out there that we all know, some of the best reps in the industry carrying a Eurolink torch. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. I have to give all credit to that to Robbie Gilchrist. He and I have been friends for many, many years, and probably 8-10 years ago, we sat down and discussed covering the United States, and he has brought on some amazing reps for us all over the United States. So I am very, very comfortable with our outside sales reps and the coverage that we have all over the country.
Well, cool.
Robbie Gilchrist, also a good friend of the podcast, of course.
Yeah.
He was on your last show, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yes, he was. Small industry, huh?
Yes. I think between Robbie and Mike Henry and Jackie Ventura and Kenny Schlelock and the guys out in California, Ira and Specialty Sales, I think that we are covered all over the United States with some really great guys and gals.
Yeah, and a fair number of those names we might recognize too.
Like I said, small industry. Well, you got it covered, and hopefully your participation on this podcast will help just a little bit. At least that's what we hope. Craig, thank you so much for joining us on Fully Threaded Radio.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you guys reaching out to me, and I've had a blast doing this, and I look forward to our relationship for many years ahead.
So do we.
We'll talk about it some more when we see you out here in Cleveland. Hey, everybody. It's Fully Threaded Radio. We'll be right back.
Brian and Eric, your online Fastener Talk Radio brothers in thread. Fully Threaded Radio.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting fastenal.com today.
Are you tired of empty promises from software vendors? Are you paying for support that you're not receiving? Is it time for another paid upgrade? There is a solution. InSequel delivers quality software designed for the fastener industry at an affordable price with industry-leading support. Unlike other software companies, with InSequel, you purchase your software once. There will never be a paid upgrade. If you need assistance with anything, InSequel is there to help. When you call, you will always speak with a real person offering you quick and knowledgeable answers to your questions. Can your current provider say this? Quality software, affordable pricing, industry-leading support. Only InSequel can deliver all three. So why settle? Call InSequel Software at 877-446-9775 or visit www.inxsql.com.
ND Industries has been solving customers' toughest problems through innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service since 1955. A family-owned business, ND Industries manufactures and applies fastener locking, bonding, sealing, masking, and assembling products. Their pre-application process makes fasteners ready to use at the point of assembly, resulting in reduced labor costs, time savings, and superior quality assurance. As a fully integrated company, ND handles all aspects of operations from formulating custom chemical compounds and coating fasteners to providing inline inspection, packaging, and delivery services. ND Industries serves the global market with 13 divisions in the continental U.S. and also facilities in Taiwan, China, and Turkey. Learn more about ND Industries at our website at www.ndindustries.com. ND Industries, innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service. Contact ND today.
This is Leo Core, editor of Distributors Link magazine, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, back with you, riding the fastener industry snake, fully threaded.
Well, I'm not going to even go anywhere near that, okay? I hate snakes.
Weren't much of a Jim Morrison fan, were you?
No, I hate snakes. Anyone in New Zealand is terrified of snakes because New Zealand doesn't have any snakes.
Well, then why were you so afraid of them?
Because you could perfectly play onto everyone's fears by even talking about snakes. In fact, when this is one of these crazy things, but when I lived in New Zealand and I was at university, the laws about bringing anything related to a snake were so severe, you could not even bring a snake's skin into New Zealand. It was totally illegal. And I remember when I was at university, part of the city got closed down, and they declared a state of emergency because in one of the warehouses that stuff got shipped in from overseas, they found a snake, and to try and isolate it, they shut off a part of the city while they worked out how to kill this thing. Now, they never found it, but it turned out that one of the night watchmen got fired for being drunk on duty, and so it may have been totally imagined. However, they still don't let any snakes in, but now you can they do let snake skins into the country. So New Zealand has become born to be totally paranoid of snakes and spiders, okay?
Well, thanks for that, Bri.
Living in Australia is a real trial after New Zealand.
Yeah, we covered most of that on the last episode, Bri.
Yeah, right.
Like we say, it's predominantly fastener related, everyone. Well, if you are on Twitter, unlike Brian, you can get out there, and I'm going to retweet a photo that Craig Penland put up there. It's of his concert shirt that we were discussing at the close of that last segment, and this shirt is great. I can only hope that he brings some more of them out there to the big show at Fastener Fair Cleveland, Bri.
Yeah, I've seen him with those shirts a couple of times at two different shows, actually. They're pretty cool.
They are pretty awesome. Great to have him on the podcast. It was a lot of fun. He's a great guy.
Yeah, and he's got pretty good knowledge of metric stuff, too. I mean, he's been in that neck of the woods for a long time.
Yeah, he's one of those guys we could have probably done like a 2-hour Joe Rogan-style interview with him and wouldn't have run out of things to say. Well, it was good of him to join us on the podcast today. Thank you to Craig Penland of Eurolink Fastener Supply Service. Also, John Radel of Solution Industries. I know that was a hard one for you, John. I think you did a great job, and we covered some important territory on that interview. Also, Harry Moser of the Reshoring Initiative, and Würth Executive Vice President Marc Strandquist joined Mike McNulty on the Fastener News Report. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes.
And let's not forget Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. We look forward to part 4, Carm.
Yeah. Then we'll know a lot about torque wrenches, okay? Really a lot.
I'm on the edge of my seat waiting to see if there's going to be a part 5 myself, Brian.
Okay.
The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stellfast, For service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stelfast and Lindstrom. Lindstrom, by any measure. Fully Threaded Radio is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, Fastenal, Fastener Technology International, InSequel Software, Mack Brooks Fastener Fair USA, ND Industries, The Würth Group, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. Flying high.
Yep.
Get with us anytime, folks. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. And as has been stated earlier in the podcast, we hang out there on Twitter occasionally under the handle Fully Threaded. And at rare moments, Brian Musker.
It's true. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. I'm not going to say any more about that.
Good. Don't. Before we wrap this one up, everybody, if you listen to episode 124, the last episode of the podcast, we went on sort of a meandering conversation generally discussing the leadership conference put on by the Young Fastener Professionals and the NFDA, in which they were talking a lot about emergent technologies and their impact on fastener distribution and pretty much everything else, for that matter, the future of humanity. Wanted to just throw another headline out at you that came across the transom just the other day here, and I guess it's food for thought, something I figured would be appropriate since we're sort of back on this theme in general, Bri. This one comes from CNBC.com, and the headline is, AI will be billions of times smarter than humans, and man needs to merge with it, expert says. So, as you can probably guess, the story involves artificial intelligence, which the experts are saying could be billions of times smarter than humans, and people may need to merge with computers to survive. This is all being explained by a futurist by the name of Ian Pearson. He's with an outfit called Futurizing. Never heard of him, but the information here is pretty interesting. You can look this story up if you need to. Essentially, the takeaway quote is, he says, the fact is that AI can go further than humans. It could be billions of times smarter than humans at this point. So we really need to make sure that we have some means of keeping up. And by this he means, wait for it, Bri, the way to protect against something like that is to link our brains to AI so that we have the same IQ as the computer.
Wow. Okay. That's an interesting thought. Well, that's fine as long if the computer's really, really smart. You know, if you're relying on Siri, that would mean you'd have to cut 3/4 of your brain out, okay? I mean, we're a long way away from having artificial intelligence 1 billion times smarter than a person, okay? You've only got to, for all its money, ask Siri a rather simple question and get such a nonsensical answer. It's like even Amazon can make fun of itself when their ad they had on at the Super Bowl when they had these people asking Alexa these questions that got totally stupid answers. That's true. Now, I don't have that many stupid answers from Alexa. It does it occasionally. I have them all the time from Siri. So I'm not holding my breath for this time, okay?
I think I take your point. I think the point of this comment, and people who think like this, they're looking forward to a point in time, be it next year or 2035 or 2045, sometime when we're approaching the singularity that they always reference, where these machines essentially are impossible to reel back in. And so a lot of these technologists, these futurists, are saying, hey, everybody, we better figure out a way to harness these with a brain-computer link-up before they get so far ahead that we don't have the chance to do that. And I think that's the point of this comment.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, look, as you'll know from books that you and I and your father have passed around, Ray Kurzweil years and years ago suggested that they were going to be implanting chips in the brain to deal with things like corrective vision and hearing problems, and it sounded so crazy, 15 years ago, and of course now they've done it, okay? It's sort of an operation you have to be rather rich to have it done, but it's been successfully done. So things that we all thought were really impossible not too long ago have already been achieved. So these people who are the futurists, and Ray Kurzweil is certainly one of them, okay, one that I would pay a lot of attention to. You know, they're not just talking stupid stuff here. They've had a track record that's been gold, okay? The timeline is the issue.
Another one of the futurists that's got a lot riding on this is Elon Musk, and he's also referenced in this story. It points out that he has founded a startup called Neuralink, and it's aimed at creating this mind or brain computer link up. So a lot going on here. More food for thought for those of you who listened to episode 124 or who have pretty much been following this general story for a while and have been thinking about it. Here's one thing that I think about, Brian. I reel it all back to the fastener industry. In this world, say it's a post-singularity world, do we still need as many fasteners?
Yes, you do. You do. Yeah, this is talking about intelligence. Not, they'll still be building buildings somehow or other. I mean, maybe they've invented some technology that joins materials together without bolts and nuts and things.
Well, I'm glad you're thinking that way, Bri, because a lot of people are kind of wondering what the consequences of that for the general human race might be. But if you're thinking that fasteners are still going to be needed, then I'm glad to hear it. And that also means that there's going to be another episode of Fully Threaded Radio.
Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, I can't wait for that.
And hopefully all of you will be out there listening in as well, folks. We sure hope you will. And we thank you for listening to this, episode 125 of the podcast. And that's going to put this one in the can.
Yes, folks. Till next time, okay?
For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws, see you on Twitter maybe. And we'll talk to you next time.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.